Welcome to Chasing the Upside, conversations about living the FPL life. FPL writer and enthusiast Leong, welcome to Chasing the Upside. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on this chat. I'm really looking forward to talking about FPL, especially when I do it every week on just on the game week, on the previews, on who to buy in. So it's very refreshing to come to a show like this where you can just chat about everything about FPL in a more relaxing manner. So thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah. Let's go for a relaxing chat about FPL.
Yeah,
What could go wrong, eh? So yeah, we'll see how we go.
yeah.
But we'll start the chat where we always start these conversations.
Mhm.
So your origin story with FPL, where did it start for you with FPL?
Yeah, so if you ask me, I really played FPL for like seriously for like maybe 2 or 3 seasons. Maybe this is the third season that I played FPL seriously, but I've been playing FPL I think since 8 seasons ago when I first I just randomly Googled about fantasy FPL and it came out, so I just signed in. And then during that time, I don't really know how to play FPL at all because I don't really read the rules, so I just randomly pick any players that are my favorite players, maybe some from my favorite team, Newcastle. Just staff the team with 3 players in Newcastle and see how it goes. So that's how I started. And as you know, my Twitter username is FPL Running Pharmacist. So those are actually the 3 things that are sort of important in my daily life for now. So FPL definitely come first, then followed by running, and then followed by pharmacist, which is my day job. So I run a lot. Not sure if you know about it. I used to run like marathons, half marathons, even ultra marathons before this, but sort of getting lesser and lesser now because I have a 1-year-old baby. So of course I have to divide time and maybe focus more on my family. So yeah, when I first started playing FPL, actually I feel like my life is not as good as now, so maybe I have a lot of distractions in life and sort of struggling a bit. So I think when you struggle a lot in life, especially mentally, you want to look for some distractions, some things that can be rewarding, can be more motivating. So running is first. When I run, then it sort of relax me a little bit, and also FPL. Of course, it doesn't take much time, so I think it's a good hobby to have at that time. So I would say during that time I'm a more casual player. So I miss deadlines sometimes, like a lot of casual managers, and then I'm not really well informed by who is going to be suspended, who is going to start even. So who is the talisman of the team? I think during that time we don't have that much info as well, right, from the content creators. So eventually after maybe 5 seasons of playing sort of as a casual player. I think sometimes during that season, those seasons as well, I just started play a few game weeks and don't do really well, and then I just give up. I just leave the team like to become dead teams. Like I think a lot of FPL managers do that now as well. So then I think 3 seasons ago, I started to. I think the thing that changed me is because I read a lot, so I come across some FPL books. So I sort of started reading. Why not just pick up an FPL book and read it? And then I find out that there's so much about FPL than just randomly clicking players and randomly making transfers. So those are the times when I started to think that I need to improve myself as an FPL manager. So yeah, so slowly I don't think I have a good ranks in the past season. I think my best rank is maybe 100 plus K. That's the best I can do. But I believe in FPL is more than ranks. So in the 3 seasons, serious seasons I played, just slowly improve as a manager, regardless of the ranks. And here I am now. You know, I signed up for a Twitter account with 0 followers. And then I used to be someone that blindly follow content creators' advice. Wherever they say bring in, I just bring in. Until nowadays, I'm someone who that I think I can make my own judgment and make my own research, and also probably if they want, maybe I can give some advice to others. So this is basically how I come from 8 years ago in FPL until now.
Amazing, thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned there that FPL is more than rank. Um, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, if you see, I think in social media or Twitter, especially, or in YouTube, um, when people give advice, there'll always be some comments saying that, what is your rank right now? Right? If you're ranked below me, who are you, or what position are you in to give me advice when you're actually doing worse than me? So, for me, for example, let's say I'm a content creator now with like few million followers, but my rank is around, maybe I don't start that well. Maybe my rank is around 5 million, 4 million. Does it mean that I cannot give anyone advice? I don't think it's that way, because rank for me is something temporary, and it doesn't reflect on you. You can do, maybe you can become an FPL champion for one season, and you can get a bad rank the next season. So it can happen to anyone. But for me, FPL is the most important thing is how you justify your move every single week. If you feel that you make a move and you can justify it, then even the outcome is maybe not as what you expected. But then you feel justified because you make a decision that is what you feel is the right move. But if you just blindly follow others, even though if your rank is high, what is the joy and what is the gratification from that? So I feel that the most important thing for each FPL managers is to develop their own style rather than putting rank above everything. And you see a lot of FPL managers tend to copy. Copying is a big thing right now. They copy those that do really well, right? And then what are the things that they gain from it? I'm not sure about that.
No, I would agree. I mean, I think that the moment you can play your own game,
Yeah.
and I think you're right, justify your decisions, and even if it goes wrong, you can say, well, this is why I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has a different process, which is the fascinating thing about FPL, because
Yeah.
there's no correct ways of playing, and that's the interesting thing, isn't it? There was an article that I read from you. This was a few months ago, and as soon as I read it, I thought, oh, I'd really like to sort of speak to you like this. So I'm really glad we've got that opportunity now. And it was, you brought up the analogy of marathon running and FPL, and FPL being a marathon, not a sprint. But you kind of went through the stages of a marathon, essentially, in terms of strategy, timing, all these things. So for the people that haven't read it, and I'm putting you on the spot now, do you want to sort of explore that and discuss with me and everybody listening and watching,
Yeah.
what
Maybe I
what you
have
meant
to
by that?
go way back to the years that I started running. So I actually started running around 15 years ago. That there was a time that I don't really train. So then my wife, that's my girlfriend that time. She signed up for a full marathon. And then I thought, why not I just join her for the full marathon. So I went in without much training. The most distance I ran maybe around 10 kilometers. That's all. So I thought it's something that I can finish with some grit and determination. I'll force myself to finish it. So without knowing anything, I started the race. So of course, you know how it ends. Um, uh, like every runners, we want to start with a sprint. You want to be ahead of everyone else from the start of the marathon. You don't want to be the last at the back of the pack in the start. So of course, like everyone, I started sprinting the first maybe 5 kilometers or so. I'm doing okay. Then after that, around 10 kilometers mark, I realized that something is wrong, right? I no longer be able to run without dragging my legs. So I start forcing myself until around the 20 plus kilometers mark. I heard a cracking sound. So yeah, so my right leg is there's something wrong with it. So but I insist of continuing, and I dragged it all the way to the finish line until around the 40th kilometers mark. Then yeah, someone told me that I actually dislocated it. The yeah, dislocated something. So I have no choice but to hop on the bus and then go to the finish line without finishing the race. So which then makes me study a lot about marathon. You need to train, you need to start slowly. You cannot follow everyone and just start sprinting. So yeah, this is after that, then I start playing FPL. Then I realized there's so much similarities between FPL and also marathon. If you realize, of course, I mentioned about Eliud Kipchoge, which is a marathon legend. Not sure if you have heard of him. He's one of the best marathon runner in the world, I think, all time. And he also holds the world record until it's currently broken, I think, a few months ago. So if you see the way he run, he usually starts in a pack with the he don't, even though if he can, he doesn't go out sprinting and then just leave everyone behind. He follows a pack right behind, and maybe someone is eager to cut him, he just let them go. Because in FPL, you see a lot of FPL managers that do that. They use their chips early, they wild card early, they use their triple captainships early. So of course they'll gain a lot of ranks early on, maybe in the first 5 or 6 game weeks. You can see them at near the top table. So it's okay because of course I mentioned just now, Kipchoge just let them do it. Then after that, the runners sort of lose their steam a bit, and then he start catching up in his constant pace and towards the end of the season, I think around, maybe in FPL wise, maybe you can say around after the 30th game week or 31st game week, then he start making his move, maybe take a few punts, maybe start using the wild cards or whatever. So yeah, so it's almost the same as marathon. If you want to finish, you want to finish strong rather than you want to start strong, right? So in marathon, you can see that a lot of beginners runners, they sort of sprint early and sort of lose their way, or maybe even forced to pull out of the race. Just like in FPL, a lot of managers, when they don't do well, they just give up the team, and then maybe they start again next season and keep doing doing it again. So as I mentioned just now, if you see a lot of players that are ranked above you, you don't really need to worry about it, especially at this stage. We are not even at the halfway point at the 21st km point of the race yet. So just keep up the pace, make sure that you don't fall too much behind, and then eventually you have to trust yourself. You have to trust the training that you have done. So the training in marathon is just like the training, the sort of the research that, or all the plannings that you have done in FPL. So all this, you have to trust that all this research and all this careful planning that you have done will help you to finish strong in FPL. Yeah, so I cannot say that I'm a good example because I'm still searching my way, and I cannot say that I'm an elite marathoner either because my timing isn't that good. But then I can say is if you go all out in the beginning without thinking about everything, then you're going to be in trouble towards the end. Maybe you'll get lucky in a few game weeks early on, but then you won't get lucky forever in 38 game weeks of FPL. So it's the same as marathon. If you can get lucky in the first few miles, but you can't keep it up if you keep expecting yourself to get lucky.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's something that I've realized about FPL. Of course, there's a huge amount of luck to the game, but what and this, of course, like with anything that you gain experience and your opinions change. But where I am now with the whole luck and skill debate is,
Mhm.
I think that luck will get you to the really high ranks, top 10K, top 50K. But I think the skill will get you consistently to top 100K, around, around that mark, which is an okay rank, which is a decent rank. And so that's where I think the sort of the divide is really. The luck will get you to the absolute top 0.1%. But if you're logical, if you're consistent, which of course is like marathon training, isn't it? If you're consistent with your decision making throughout, that skill will override the luck overall.
Yeah, I actually believe that you make your own luck. So maybe I saw a lot of tweets saying that right now they have a bad luck because a lot of players that they have selected are injured, maybe injured long term, or maybe just got some random red cards and suspended. So sometimes in some game weeks they might have to start with just maybe 8 active players, 9 active players, and they just moan about their bad luck. So I think this is things that these are the things that are unavoidable in FPL. So eventually we'll come to this stage, but it's up to you on how you're going to adapt and sort of dig yourself out of it. Because in marathon, I'm not sure you have heard of a term called hit the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so eventually after around 30 km, you use up all your the carbs in your body, and then you sort of have no energy to even move a few steps at all. So those are the moments that you have to find a way to get through, or you just give up. So it's the same situation as FPL. Maybe you're are stuck with bad luck right now. You have not enough players, and then you are really tempted to take a lot of hits, to get yourself temporarily out of it. But then um, there are a lot of things that you can do. Maybe you can moan about it. Maybe you can just give up, or maybe you can just ask yourself, what can I do right now to slowly get myself out of it, rather than just chase the next high in the next game week. Right? Some people say that I just want to do well in the next game week. That's why I take all the hits. But then maybe next few game weeks, you might be able to just plan yourself out one transfer at a time. Yeah, that's what I slowly learned about FPL. You need to plan a few steps, a few game weeks ahead, and to make sure that you don't fall into that hole of bad luck. So
Mm,
again, as I said just now, you make your own luck,
yeah.
and it's
So
all about the ability to adapt.
you mentioned that you've got a busy life now with your small 1-year-old,
Yeah.
and your job and your running and everything like that. Um, and obviously FPL, I hope, contributes
Mhm.
to the happiness of your life to a certain extent. When you do have a good game week or a bad game week, how does that affect your life?
It used to affect me badly. It used to make me sad maybe for a whole day, maybe for till the next deadline. I stay sad, stay angry, or I used to think that if I have a good game week, maybe I'm making all the right move. So I'm maybe close to being the best manager around. And when I have the some bad game weeks in a row, maybe I think, oh, maybe this game is not for me. That was me when I used to start playing FPL. But then eventually, I think the important thing is how we control our emotions, regardless whether we do well or we do badly. Because I read somewhere saying that I think it's a really good advice given to me, saying that when you submit your team during the deadline, your gaming is over. So the games will go on, but you are not in control of the games. I think a lot of people, they have a misconception. Maybe they just tell themselves that post game week, I just watch games and maybe I can control if my players do well or so. But I think many of these things are out of your control. Once you submit your team post deadline, that's it. If you want to watch games, then you should watch in a sort of happy modes, rather than hiding behind the couch, worried that if I don't have Haaland, what if he's got a hat trick, and then yeah, you'll lose a lot of sleeps over it. So for things that you can't control, just let it be. And for the things that you can control is how you're going to plan your team for the next game week based on what happened this game week. Yeah, so
Mm.
this is what I really advise others to do. You just submit your team off the apps, go do your chores and bring your kids out, have fun, watch some games,
Yeah.
support your team, support Newcastle, and then you come back when all the teams played their games. Then you see how you do. Then you plan again based on what happened this game week.
That's brilliant advice. Like as soon as you submit your team and the deadline is over, that's your game week over. And I
Yeah.
love that because um then exactly what you say, you are controlling what you can control, and then the weight has been lifted because you're done.
Mhm.
And that really focuses on your decision making, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, your process. That's great advice. Yeah, I'm going to try and do that for. We're recording on the Wednesday, so so Friday will be the deadline, and I'm going to try and do that this weekend. I can almost guarantee it won't work, but it's work in progress.
Yeah.
Maybe talking about decision making, and the game in general. What would you say are the mistakes that you make the most often?
I used to, yeah, I think a lot of people make these mistakes. I used to do that as well. Is after each game week, I make early transfers. Um, Based on the latest games that happened. For example, last night my striker, maybe for example Haaland, I captained him and then he got a red card or something. So instantly the next morning I wake up, I saw it and then I just transfer him out. Maybe that's what people call as rage transfer. Yeah. So I used to do that a lot, and then I used to regret it the gaming after. So it's a vicious cycle. You regret it, you tell yourself not to do it again, then you do it again the next
You do
week
it
and
again.
again and again.
Yeah.
And then the more you do it, then the less uh, your your ability to plan, because you already use up that transfer. So the next transfer that you have to do, you have to use a hit to do it. So the more hits you take, then the more addicted you are to the hits. I
Mm.
think I've seen that a lot as well. So people say I've taken some hits this game week, might as well I keep taking hits and then keep riding it since my rank is already bad. So I'll just keep taking hits, keep taking risks, and that wouldn't help your rank. It will just keep getting worse and worse. So I'm okay with hits, but then you have to carefully plan it and really bring in someone that and worth it. So for now, for this season, I think I've worked it out better. So basically, my transfers are done maybe 1 hour before the deadline. Not necessarily waiting for leagues, but maybe waiting for the cup games to be over, the European games to be over. So I think patience paid off a lot for me. So unfortunately, even though you keep telling people to wait, it's human nature to act immediately on what their heart or what their brain tell them to do. So that's why you see all those price rises in midweek or immediately post games. So you can't control that. And the more you see people making transfer, the more the higher the urge that you yourself want to make the transfer. So yeah, when you have that urge, I think just log off Twitter, log off social media, just do other stuff, and then you have to know what you really want that game week, rather than being influenced by others and influenced by the price change itself.
I think that's really interesting. And yeah, I can relate to a lot of that because, and I don't really, as a rule, I just don't make early transfers. I think even if I am very likely to miss out on a player, what I've realized this season more than all the times that I've been sort of playing is it's very, very unlikely that that player is going to make a huge difference to your season because there's always you can always pick them up. There's always stuff to do in your
Yeah.
team that can improve it. Um, and actually, sometimes not doing anything is the best thing you can do because
Mhm.
it raises the probability of that player that potentially is struggling to do better. But I think that going back to your point, the frustration with FPL is when you've had a bad game week, and you're absolutely right. As humans, we want to act. We want to right that wrong, and how we can do that is by transferring. But there's such a long gap, you know. We're recording this around the festive period, so it's very busy. But generally speaking, there's a huge gap between that frustration and getting the chance to right that wrong. So I think mentally, if you can get over that hurdle and have patience, you're onto a winner, aren't you? Because you don't want to get into that cycle that you talked about. That's a really good point.
Yeah, especially you mentioned a good point. This is there's a long gap. So especially you have the international break where you have 2 weeks that you have nothing to do, and some people just do it based on maybe out of boredom. They just want to act on something, and then of course they know that there are possible injuries, possible a lot of injuries during international break, and they should wait, but they do it anyway because it's human nature. I think FPL has a lot to do with how we are as a human and our personality itself. So the way you play FPL, I think reflects a lot on how you really live your life, whether you just wait and see, wait for opportunities, or you just take risks and act on it. I think a lot of different people play it differently. There's no right or wrong way of doing that, but I think it really reflects on your personality in real life itself.
It really does, yeah. I mean, a
Yeah.
question that I've asked on this podcast a few times is, does your FPL play mirror your wider life in terms of your behavior and your decision making process? So yeah, it is an interesting question, and there's so many overlaps, isn't there?
Mhm.
But I still think it comes down to the central fact that if you are enjoying the game, that's the game. And if you want to take loads of hits, and you're not bothered about your rank too much, because that's not where you get the enjoyment. You get that enjoyment from the transfers in and out and the wheeling and dealing. Absolutely go for it. And that's the wonderful thing. If you want to be so risk averse, never taking hits, go for that. You know, if your joy is the slow, steady grind, go for that too. And there's room for everyone, which is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and another thing is I think regarding the template as well. So I think we haven't mentioned the template this today. So I think a lot of people tend to want to follow the template early season. I think there's advice given to a lot of FPL managers that you shouldn't go very far away from the template early season so that to avoid falling down the rank and so that you lose a chance to catch up towards the end of the season. So that actually reflects on the person you are as well. You know, if you keep following the template, you don't dare to take risks and you just keep picking up players with high EO. You know, maybe in real life you're just someone that you follow the rules and you don't dare to make huge changes to your life. Don't dare to take risks. So I don't think I'm this person. Maybe I'll start the season with template, maybe 1 to 2 game weeks. But if you look at my team right now, I think it's full of differentials. I think I have 8 or 9 differentials right now.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, but
Yeah.
those are I don't really go for differentials because I need differentials, but they come to me. I believe that if you keep playing the way that you want to keep playing to your style, then you keep making the right decisions. Then at some stage you will have to get in those differentials that you feel is right for the team.
Leon, thank you so much for this chat. We've got two more questions to go
Yeah,
before I let you get back to your evening, because where you are, it'll be 6:42, I believe.
yeah.
So
I'll
um,
have my dinner after this.
good
So
stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And I'll have some lunch. So there we go.
yeah.
So yeah, in just before we wrap up, the final two questions are, well, a for you to reflect, I suppose, on your favorite ever FPL moment, or as I like to call it, the FPL champagne moment.
Mhm. I believe it's quite a few seasons ago, when Mo Salah uh, just came to the Premier League. Not the his Chelsea days. I think he went to Roma, then he signed for Liverpool. So during that time, I think not many managers actually believe in his ability when he just signed. And then after a few games, I saw some potential in Salah, and his ownership is real low that time, and his price is real low as well. So I thought it's an opportunity to maybe take a risk. So I bought him, and then he just can't stop scoring, can't stop assisting, and his prices rise more and more and more. So I maybe just keep on telling myself I might be one of those that actually discover the legend in Mo Salah in the game. But surprisingly, the season after, I don't really buy him a lot. Maybe it's because his price is high or whatever. But then, yeah, he's back to my team this season. But yeah, those are the memories with Salah. When he doesn't do well, when you discover a hidden gem, I think it brings a lot of joy to you. I think a lot of managers can relate that with Lundstrom, for example.
There's a few, isn't there? And the lovely thing
Yeah.
about getting in early
Mm-hmm.
on an asset is you maybe get 3 or 4, even 5 weeks before everybody catches
Yeah.
up, and so you're just gaining all that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then by that stage, obviously it didn't happen with Salah. Salah just continued. But
Mm-hmm.
if everybody's caught up and then there's a dip, well, you haven't lost anything because the EO is so high and you've
Yeah.
gained those points anyway. And then it's time to sort of move on. So that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had that champagne moment where going back a few years, Salah before he was the Egyptian king, essentially. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. Thank you. And then to round off this chat, and once again, thank you for spending your time with me. Um, what's the best piece of FPL advice you've ever been given?
I think we have discussed about a bit about this earlier as well. I would advise everyone to prioritize everything above FPL. You have to prioritize, of course. I think you saw I tweet a lot about mental health, about how you have to take care of yourself first ahead of FPL, and also you have to prioritize your family, your job, and people around you above FPL. I saw a lot of FPL managers actually let FPL affect their daily life, like how what you mentioned just now. You asked me how does a good or bad game week actually affect your real life. I think we have to try to minimize its effect on our life. I know it's hard because we are humans with emotions, right? But then in the end, FPL is just a game. Correct. If you look back, like 5 seasons later, um, and then you look back at the rank that you achieved this season, maybe top 10K, does it really mean a lot to you compared to the memories that you create with your families, the moments that you have. Um, so maybe people will feel that FPL is the most important thing in your life right now, but you have to think again. Maybe look around and see maybe if you look back you realize that FPL is just one small thing that's is not as important as you think. So my advice to everyone is prioritize your mental health and prioritize other more important things that you can see in your life. After
I,
that, then you can look at FPL.
yeah, get all those things done. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right because personally, I think the moment that FPL becomes a problem is where you feel like you're putting so much time into it and you're not
Mm-hmm.
getting anything back because of the luck
Yeah.
factor. And that's why I think it really can uh, affect you badly because there's like an injustice. For instance, going all the way back to the start of the conversation in terms of marathon training, because it's physical, pretty much, unless you get unlucky with injuries, if you do certain miles on certain days, you will make progress because that's
Yeah.
that's the physical thing. You can be doing everything right in FPL and putting a huge amount and more time and more time and more time, but that doesn't equate to actually making improvements in the short term. And I think that's why it becomes so triggering, isn't it? So if you can distance yourself, prioritize FPL, third, fourth as third or fourth in your life in terms of importance, that's nice because if it's going well, amazing. Uh, and if it goes badly, well, you've still got other stuff going on as well. I think I think the issue with, and I had this chat with a couple of people on the podcast actually. The problem is if FPL is very important to someone and potentially they don't have other stuff that they can focus on. Maybe they don't have a close family, friends, and so FPL is so important and they can't do anything about that. I don't know if you've got any thoughts about that.
Yeah, you have seen some people that actually FPL is their full-time job.
Yeah.
So the only thing that they do for the entire day is to create content, to do research on FPL, and then maybe 7 days a week, other than the time they sleep, the things that they think in their mind is only FPL. So after that game week, they found out that maybe their wife who don't even know any footballers at all, just randomly pick a team, but that team actually outscores his team. So of course they get angry and they get sad and they get disappointed. Then they start moaning about FPL is a game that is unfair. It's all about luck, everything. So I don't think it should be that way, right? As you mentioned just now, it's different for marathon. Of course, if you train like 7 times a week and you go run a marathon, of course you can finish it comfortably. But in FPL, it doesn't work that way. So the amount of work that you put in have to be done smartly.
Yeah.
It doesn't really equate to the time that you put in. If you put in 10 hours of useless work and just getting the wrong data, looking at the wrong players, even though you spend those 10 hours, it's not going to reflect on the game week results in the next few game weeks. So of course, my advice is don't spend your whole life in FPL, because FPL is not going to go away. If you in the next 50 years, FPL is still going to be around, but things around you is going to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you have to have a life outside FPL.
Yeah, lovely. Leong, thank you so much for joining me on Chasing the Upside today. I've had a lovely conversation.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the chat.